Hi, I'm Nova Lorraine, and I am so excited to have this conversation today with Goddess, the Goddess. And well, who am I? I am an author, podcaster, award-winning futurist, and fashion designer. And I'm extremely passionate about well-being. And I had the pleasure of interviewing Goddess for one of my podcasts, the Unleash Your Supernova podcast, many moons ago, and really excited to dive deeper into this new journey that she's on. So, but before, well, actually, Goddess, why don't we have you say hello?
Hi, everybody.
Love it, love it, love it. So, I want to share a little bit more about you and what our audience is going to be excited about as well. So, let's just dive into your bio real quick. So, Goddess was born in the Bahamas. You can see by her beautiful exotic skin and hair and eyes and all of that, just wearing it, girl. She also is a court reporter in New York and did work at the Brooklyn family court for over 15 years. That is a long time. And Goddess also has an associate's degree from the Swedish Institute in New York, where she learned how to do her magnificent gift of massage therapy. Well, during COVID, Goddess, oh, excuse me, Goddess began to realize over time that she has this ability to heal people. And this actually happened before COVID, but during COVID, her healing powers really came online. And Goddess discovered the power of healing through her hands as her hands went through their own metamorphosis. Welcome again, Goddess.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here and to get to see Nova.
Yes, especially around this conversation as relates to healing. What kind of healing? Energy healing. What kind of energy healing? Source energy healing. And so I've known you for a few years now. I've known about your gifts for healing, but it's just recent that I've heard about the source energy healing as you're calling this gift now, as you're cultivating this gift, as you're sharing it with others. And so I would love to hear from you. How are you defining source energy healing and why that title?
I'm defining it as source energy healing because it goes back when I had gotten married and moved to Florida. And
Hmm.
my husband had gone to work and I was left home to my own demise. And, I like to start the day off with some meditation. And I was in meditation and I heard Source say to me, together our unity can heal, touch. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I heard it as clear as you're hearing my voice. And I never forgot the acronym for touch. Together our unity can heal. Now, fast forward to this very moment, I totally get it. Why it's together, me and Source energy healing people. So I'm honored for that, and I feel that it's time to get it out there and spread it.
You know, it's so funny when you mentioned Florida, all I could think of was the sun. You know, what Florida's known for is all these sunny days throughout the year, and we know the healing power of the sun. So it's not surprising that this journey has this connection with the sun. But then also you mentioned your hands and touch.
Mhm.
And you're healing, that journey, that adventure starting through massage therapy and bringing it together with this realization, with this call to do this harmonious dance with source as it relates to healing and using energy. So I love that. I think that's beautiful. But like with all healers, and for those that don't know, my background actually started in medicine, pursuing clinical psychology, a doctorate in clinical psychology. So, I had this early journey origin story around healing as well. And there's always this catalyst that starts in childhood. And that realization for me was in childhood. I'd love to hear what your childhood had to do with this path that you're on right now. And can you remember a moment that you want to share with us when you realized that you had these unique gifts or abilities or somehow would be healing individuals?
Well, I would say that I come from a long line of healers. My mom was
Mm.
a nurse, and I think she's the last of the Mohegan because she really loved her
Oh,
patients, you know,
no.
and she would come home and tell stories about them. And so when they would transition, she would feel it, you know, because she really had a connection with them. And so I just love being in my mom's presence because even if I was having like a bad day, just being around her made me feel so much better. And that was being able to tap into her energy at that, at a very young age. And I remember like she had gotten her hand like caught in the car door and like her hand was bleeding and
Wow.
I'm crying for my mom, like, oh my God, mom, it's hands. And she's looking at me. So even as a young child, I was empathic to feeling someone else's pain, and what that would feel like. And so in that way, I'm able to tap into people's energies and feel things a whole lot more than the average person. So
Wow.
that's
Wow.
that's when I look back at my childhood, and of course it being magical, this is one of the things that really stood out for me.
Hmm. So you realized, or at least experienced this empathy as a child, seeing your mother go through that pain. And for some people, of course, you're seeing your mother in pain, you're gonna feel something. But for others, it's gonna go much deeper than that, right? It's gonna go like to your core. And I could relate to that. Um, it's funny that I started off on this journey of medicine, but when I see people like open wounds and stuff, I immediately get these shivers from the inside out, and I'm like, and I feel it. I'm like, okay, okay, God, I know now why you diverted me to heal through this other path. Um, but so that's really interesting to be aware at such an early age at that level. So, massage therapy. Why massage therapy? Because that's a very intimate way of healing, and now you're doing it through energy, and from the materials you're sharing, you can do it remotely as well. But massage therapy, that's hands-on. That's a very intimate space. Why massage therapy?
Well, massage therapy, I wasn't thinking about healing at all. I never
Oh,
really
interesting.
touched into healing. I did it because I left the court system.
Mm.
I didn't like
Mm.
what it was, doing to the community and how
Mm.
how it worked with families, being that I worked in family law. So I didn't want to be a part of the system anymore. I wanted to give back to the system. So
Okay.
I chose massage therapy. I felt that it would be more soothing. It'd be something that would comfort people. But as far as it being healing or in that modality was the farthest thing from my mind.
Hmm. Got it. So it was really more of, okay, I need to do this next step to support myself because this other path isn't serving me anymore.
I
So
wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel like it. It was a job I wanted to get up and go to.
got it. So that's interesting that it was just, I don't believe in coincidences, but obviously you're healing through your hands now. You went from, court reporting and working in the family court to massage therapy, and that doesn't have anything to do with each other. And
Right.
so you were already drawn to this modality.
Mhm.
And for me, it's, you're just expanding on it, you're just elevating it, you're taking it to the next level. I remember my first experience with a massage therapist was after having a car accident, and I was having this excruciating pain in my back, and it was life-changing having that modality of therapy and healing from that. And so I believe that you truly impacted people way back when, as a healer using massage therapy as well. I
Right.
do have some questions specifically around
Okay.
the energy healing because I'm
Sure.
really curious, and I know our listeners are going to be curious too.
Sure.
So, did your hands, we talked about in your bio, this metamorphosis that your hands went through.
Yeah.
So, what were those changes? Were they physical changes? Were they, spiritual changes, with your hands,
Oh,
with yourself? Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
yeah. It was both. It was spiritual and it was physical. The spiritual aspect was tingling and radiating heat and being able to just sense energy all around me in my space and what did it feel like. The physical changes that I went through with my hands was my fingernails started to peel off. And
Mm.
then the new nails started growing underneath. And I did take pictures of that, and which was painful as it was happening, as it's
Wow.
growing out and getting caught onto your clothes and it was just like, oh,
You weren't freaking out during this
yeah, I was like, what is going on with the hand?
time? Right,
I
right.
couldn't like fathom what was happening. But I knew like this energy was there. And I remember like sometimes I'd take my hand and put it to my face just to feel it. And I would feel like this tingling like this. And I just pulled back, like, what is that?
Wow.
And so I really started to focus in on the energy of, like what could this be?
Wow.
And
Wow.
that was my first encounter, with the energy itself. But like
Okay.
watching my hands go through a shift was amazing within itself.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think how I would have handled that. It would have been. And so it sounds like, yes, you were kind of, like what's happening, but it didn't sound like you freaked out at all, which is
No,
pretty amazing.
no.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Um, Another question. When did you become aware that you were actually healing people? Because again, when does a healer know that what they're doing is actually working? So when did you become aware of this?
I would say that during COVID, it was during COVID, and I was living in New York, and the lockdown was on, and people was gradually was starting to go back to work and stuff.
Hmm.
And I remember a friend of mine calling that she had to go to, she hadn't been to work all week, and so she had an allergic reaction to a cream that her dermatologist gave her.
Okay.
So, and I was still sleeping. It was early in the morning, but when your friend calls, you listen and you try to
Yeah.
comfort them, or, wherever they're at, you meet them there. Excuse me. And then, I listened to her, and she was saying that she couldn't turn her neck because it was painful. It felt like the cream was burnt, where she had it was burning her. And so
Mm.
I said, "Oh, that's terrible." I said, "So are you going to go to a doctor? You're going to, she goes, "Yeah, I'm waiting for, Michael to take me to the doctor. And, at 10 o'clock, then I'll go." So as I'm talking to her, my spirit guides tell me, "Help her." So, and
Mm.
I said, "Help her with what?" And they said, and then they showed me in my mind's eye my hands. So I said, okay. So I told her, I said, "Melinda, look, I don't know if you believe in this stuff." I said, I believe I have this new, power, and it heals people. Let's see what happens. You know, if you're open. She goes, "Oh, let's see what happens, goddess." She goes, "Right now, I'll try anything. I trust you." So I said, okay. So I told her to bend her arm, and she noticed she lives in Virginia, and I was in New York at the time. And she bent her arm, and I asked her, I says, "Let me know when you can feel me and meeting my
Mm.
energy." And so she was like, "Oh yeah, I do feel you." I said, "Okay." So I said, "I'm going to start working up your arm." So I begin to send the
Mm.
energy up her arm, up her arm. And as I'm doing that, she's going, "Oh, oh, I feel it. I feel it. Oh, yeah. Oh, oh." She goes, "Oh, I don't feel the burning. Oh, I'm turning my neck. Oh, it's gone. I'm going to work." I'm like, "What?" She says, "I'm going to work." And I was like, "No way." She goes, I don't have any pain. I'm going." So she hung up.
Wow.
I just looked at the phone. And I checked with her in the evening when she came home to see, if it came back. And she was like, "Nope, didn't come back." So I
Wow.
waited a week. No, to this
Wow.
day, it has never come back.
Wow.
But
I
that
love
was
that.
my first encounter, and I still didn't believe it. I was like, no.
Well, I was just about to ask you about the remote healing. You just gave me the story that shares that this was not only your first encounter realizing that your gifts, your powers, I'm going to call them superpowers,
Yeah.
um, are working and healing, but to be able to do this remotely, I mean, to me is mind blowing because all I could think about is you don't have any barriers to who you want to help or who
Right.
would want to get your help. And, you know, working for most is not an option. And when you're experiencing pain and can't go to work because of the pain, and sometimes the pain is not physical pain, sometimes it's heartbreak, right?
Right.
And if you can't move for whatever reason or it's uncomfortable, and to have a resource like this, I think is so profound, so profound. But I have more questions for you.
Okay.
More questions. Um, so you were wowed by this. You were looking at the phone, in
Yeah.
disbelief. You called her in the evening to say, "Okay, am I imagining this? Let me see if this is still like,
Yeah.
working for her." How do you know if it is working? That was one testimony, but how do you know if it's being effective? She told you at that moment in that present moment that, "Oh, I feel the energy. Oh, I feel you working on you." Is that the same for everyone? And if not, how do you know it's working?
Well, once I receive the energy and I ask them if they feel me,
Mhm.
most people do feel my connection with them. And some people
Mhm.
haven't, and I've healed them, right?
Mm.
And what I would also say is that I get a certain feeling when the healing is complete. I
Ah.
may not take it, it doesn't take me hours. Like some people, for a massage would be an hour. Sometimes it takes me 60 seconds, 30 seconds to heal somebody.
Wow.
From what for as I've been observing and documenting, because I have bbeen documenting these healings, and I've also had people write me reviews about their healings or their experiences.
Mhm.
And I remember when one person that I did heal, and she came to me and to visit. She was a friend of mine. She had gotten into a car accident, and so we're sitting
Mm.
and we're talking, and she couldn't sit still. She's twisting her back and she's raising her arm and she's
Mhm.
her neck, and I'm just watching her. She's so uncomfortable in
Aw.
her body,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so I said, Gloria, what's going on? You look uncomfortable, and she said that she had gotten to a car accident. So, she's very uncomfortable. So I'm saying to myself, I don't think physical therapy is working. Not knowing that I have any gifts at all. This is before I even discovered it. So I
Okay.
invited her for a massage when I lived in Brooklyn.
Ah,
She came
okay.
for a massage. I gave her a massage. I just want to help my friend. I said, look, maybe I can clean out some of that lactic acid and stretch those muscles, And so she came, and I massaged her. And then after that, we made an appointment to connect with each other for dinner, like 2 weeks away.
Mhm.
Well, when I seen her the next time, she had high heels on,
Uh-oh.
makeup. I mean, totally different woman. I was like,
What?
wow, Gloria, you look amazing. I
Wow.
said to myself, I guess finally that therapy kicked in. Thank God.
Oh.
Right. And so shortly after that, we were invited to a house party, and the people were dancing. And I guess when she was going to another area of the house, somebody must have bumped into her wrong, and all of her discomforts came back.
Wow.
And so, also to answer your question, I had questions for myself to source. And I
Mhm.
asked, I said, why did Glorias come back?
Yeah.
And so I said to myself, and then I begin to see a picture, like a movie, showing me that, I says, one of the things that I don't want to do is connect with people's karma. It's
Um,
sometimes pain and
mm,
discomfort and whatever they're going through
mm,
is a journey that they get to go through, and I get to not
mhm,
involve myself or my energy in that,
mm.
because I was like, who do I serve?
Yeah.
And source also, I says, and also I says, and I don't want to be bumping into death and getting in death's way.
Wow.
Okay. I get, I says, how do I know who to serve? And source said, I will bring them to you.
Mm.
That took a load off my shoulders. I was like, oh, fabulous. So I never, worry about who's coming or because source will present them.
I love that. I love that. And that's an interesting question as well, because she was great, she was fine, she was in heels, and then all of a sudden bump, and then she's back to square one. And a healer would question themselves and their abilities, and who better to go to than the source of our abilities, right?
Yeah.
And I love the response that you received and how you're moving forward by waiting for the right individuals, and I'll put that in quotes, to come to you.
Yeah.
And that, that's those individuals are meant for you, and you can truly heal them in a
Yeah.
sustainable way. I love that. I'm like glancing over at my questions because I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
more questions. I got more questions. Um, so when I had asked about why the name Source Energy Healing, right? I've read about energy healing before, and it's pretty powerful. And I've read stories on how energy healers also partner and collaborate with traditional, medicine, traditional physicians and doctors. What is your vision in terms of how you see your healing impacting others? And then also, I'm going to assume, but let's not assume where the source of your energy comes from. But if you can answer both of those questions, that'd be great.
The first question is, where
Yeah, let's start there. Let's start where would you say
source
the
energy comes from?
Mhm.
It comes from source, the God of my understanding.
Mhm.
And my relationship with the God of my understanding, I refer to source because for me, source is everything. I mean, for me, everything. And showing me that our potential is unlimited, and I'm not the only healer walking around. I see more and more healers coming forth with their abilities because we get to be of service and new modalities. Will I go into the medical aspect of it? I did reach out to a surgeon. He's very open-minded, and he invited me to work with his patients, so
Wow.
I get to have more information and I get to introduce it to them as well. So
I
I'm
love
very excited about that. And, it is of being of service for sure. And I enjoy when someone tells me, it's gone or this or that. And, the other day I was in the getting my car repaired, and I'm waiting, for my car to come back, and I'm sitting in the waiting area, and I healed a lady of her back pain in a matter of like 10 seconds because I had to go, you know. And she was like, oh, my back, and I was like, nice meeting you and take care. So, being able to stay grounded
Right. Right.
and, being able to also protect myself
Mhm.
spiritually and energetically, is very, very important. I've learned, and I've spoken to other healers and their modalities that they use to support themselves physically and spiritually as well. So we're
Mm.
able to continue on doing what we're here to do.
I love that. That's so important because, you know, individuals that are dealing with like especially like clinical issues with individuals, it is easy to carry that with you, and how do you lighten that load? How do you still stay like refreshed for that next person and the next person? And to have a way to do that, I think is so important, and to protect yourself along the way. What other advice would you give aspiring healers? And as you mentioned, there are so many different types of healers now. I mean, I've encountered so many in my journey, and each have their own unique way of healing, which I think is so cool.
Yes,
Of course, you have your traditional, you know um the individuals that are in traditional medicine, holistic medicine, then you have your herbalists, and it just goes on and on and on and on.
yes, yes.
What advice would you give other aspiring healers?
I would say, don't be shy anymore. It's
Mm.
time to come out. It's time to bring your gift, your source gift to the world because the world needs it right now. People are tired of taking pills, people are tired of injections. And, for me, the God of my understanding is powerful. There's no limit to what we see. So if we can co-create that and manifest that and see that for the world, there's nothing to stop us from, bringing more joy and health and happiness and having people live their dreams and their aspirations because that's what it does.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, for anyone that's watching this or listening to this recording, how could they experience your energy healing, your source energy healing?
You can email me at goddess T's and Tom W at gmail.com. And we can set up an appointment and we will, do some energy work for sure.
Amazing. Any other words you want to share with the audience?
What I would like to say is be open to new things, new ways of being, new ways of
Oh,
healing, new ways of
yes.
enjoying your life. Live from your heart space. Use that wonderful gift of imagination, and then sky's the limit from there.
Yes, I love that. That is so beautiful. And you just said the word imagination, which reminded me of your book. Can you just share
Oh,
your book real quick?
Remember Your Powers is the name of the book. I have a TED Talk also on YouTube. It's called Imagination. What is it? So
Love it.
you
Love
can
it.
you can check it out.
Love it.
Yes,
Goddess, the source energy healer, author,
yes.
TEDx speaker. So wonderful spending this time with you, hearing about your gifts, hearing your story, and your vision as well. Love the words of wisdom. Be open, be open, be open. And then for those aspiring to make an impact, to step forward, like take that chance. There are people that need you.
Yes,
Everyone you're seeking is seeking you. So
yes.
love that. Thank you again. And again, for people that are listening, it's goddessttw@gmail.com. Please reach out if you want to experience the beautiful source energy healing. Again, this is Noble Lorraine. It was a pleasure having this interview with you today, Goddess. And until
Thank
next
you,
time,
Nova.
of
Mwah.
course. Ciao. Mwah. Ciao.
Ciao. Stand still right